All right. Welcome to PCOS Conversations with Julie and Laura. We're so glad you're here. and My name is Julie Duffy Dillon. I'm a registered dietitian and I help people with PCOS to reject diet culture, recover from it, hopefully, and just come together to like break it all apart. I don't know. That's the only way I can think of to say it. And it's fun. Yeah, we've got to join together to do that.
We're changing patriarchy and diet culture over here.
There you go. Yeah. So this is my friend Laura. Hey Laura, how you doing?
Hello, I'm Laura. I'm Laura Burns, and I am a yoga teacher and body liberation activist. I don't know. But I teach yoga classes and I lead workshops and retreats and speak about body liberation. And yeah, my whole goal in life is to help people be present in their bodies and figure out how to honor and celebrate themselves exactly as they are in this moment.
Awesome. Can I totally put you on the spot about something?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Can you tell the listener watcher about the name of your book that's going to come out?
Yes. So I do have a book coming out. It's called Big and Bold Yoga.
Ooh, I love the name of it. I didn't know that was the name.
Yeah. Big and Bold Yoga for the Plus Size Woman. And it is like for the plus size woman, but it's for any fat body. The publisher is just making this whole series for plus size women, but I keep telling everyone, but it's for everyone. There's actually nothing specifically, like womanly about the instruction.
Well, I'm excited for it. So thank you. I totally put you on the spot. So I hope you don't mind that I did that. Anyway, but I'm excited for the book. So I wanted to make sure that people knew about it coming out.
Yeah, exciting. Coming out in August.
Yay. Yeah. And I mean, you've shared with me along the way as you're putting together, and it sounds amazing and intentional healing, all those great things. So anyway, well, yeah, so we're here to talk about PCOS and body liberation, and we always start by doing a card pull. So we have a deck of cards.
You want to show it close? I think it actually will show up.
Yeah, I know. I'm using my like cheaper camera, which ends up being better.
Yeah. Yay, that's our deck.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful deck and on sale soon. And so what we're gonna do is gonna pull one of them. They all have like sayings on the back and as a prompt, and it's a way that we hope helps you access self-care, and as a prompt just to like think about things differently to help move away from diet culture and all those shitty things. So today's card is, how can you live with PCOS on your own terms?
What a good question. Good job, past us. That's a great question.
Like the question's like, we wrote that?
Oh, that's so good. Oh yeah, we did that. Yeah. How can you live with PCOS on your own terms? Oh my God. And that's like the whole point of us being here.
Right. Yeah.
This really encapsulates everything.
Yeah, you don't have to do like, I know you're barked orders when you're diagnosed with PCOS, or when a doctor or another healthcare provider finds out you have PCOS, you're given this like very tight script that changes, but it's still like punishment. And I think people just expect you to do it. And we're here to say, we hope you question it.
Yeah. That you are allowed to question it, I think first is like such a difficult hurdle for lots of us, because we grew up and it's like, well, whatever the doctor says, like they know best. And like doctors know a lot, but they don't always know best. And especially when it comes to PCOS, what I've learned is doctors really don't know a whole lot. And there's a lot of information out there that they don't continue to learn. And so you probably maybe know more than your doctor.
Right.
And I think that's something really important to talk about, because we just, have this culture of like, oh, you have to listen to the doctor. And I'm not saying they don't know anything, but most of the time they're not doing continuing education about PCOS. Right. And so their information is based on what they learned in that portion of medical school, and I think probably that's it.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of healthcare providers, I know I mostly work with dietitians and therapists, and a lot of them will be like, I don't know anything about it. I don't have time to learn more.
Mhm.
And just Google it, which is, I
Same.
know what so many people get. And, the thing about PCOS, it affects so many people. And the like direction people are given is just the same old shit of like weight loss advice. And we have lots of evidence that that is harmful to most people without PCOS. So it's also going to be harmful to people with PCOS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
I'm just like, my mind is like thinking of all the things. So, like, as somebody with PCOS, when I think of living with PCOS on my own terms, I think of um, knowing that the doctor is not always the expert and
Mhm.
that I am the expert on my body because I have the lived experience in my body. Um, and I think that that's also something that we forget or don't feel like we can trust, is that we are the ones who have been with ourselves our whole lives, right? And so we know, how does it feel when I do this, when I do this, when I take this medicine, all of these things that nobody outside of you can ever really know. And learning, because it's not probably for you, I know it's not for a lot of us, it's not intrinsic anymore, like to trust what we're hearing. So learning to trust our bodies and learning to listen to what they're telling us, which is something that I learned from Julie when it comes to PCOS, is like listening to cravings, listening to symptoms. And so living on my own terms with PCOS means that I don't have to do what the doctor tells me, because the doctor is telling me to go on a diet. And that doesn't work for me. And I know that that doesn't work for me. So I get to say, no, thank you. And I'm going to just put that over there and continue on my path. And living on my own terms with PCOS means not needing to demonize the symptoms that I have. A lot of community out there with PCOS, it's really like super negative about symptoms, and the just like the train of thought in general, it's very negative. I hate this. This sucks. Blah blah blah. This is gross. This makes me feel, disgusting. And I don't want to bring that in. Like, I get enough negativity that like naturally is produced by my body. I don't want to bring any more of that in. So my terms are trying to have a different perspective and say, I may not love the way that this symptom presents in my body, but I can listen to it, I
Hmm.
can learn from it, and I can try to honor my body. It's part of my body.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You've taught me so much about the symptom shaming part of the
yeah,
PCOS
it's so
experience.
big.
Yeah.
It's a really, like, for me personally, the symptom shaming is very harmful because it ties into fat phobia. It ties into like all the negative body image.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, the thing I think about too, I was somehow on some random Facebook group that is about PCOS. I think it's even just called PCOS. I don't know. But somehow it came up on my feed when I was scrolling this weekend, and people were talking about something with medications, and there was so much shame on just being on medication. And people were talking about, oh, you don't have to go on that medication. You can use these supplements, or you can do this harder, or this way. And I'm like,
You
well,
eat in this way.
yeah. And instead of like, well, for some people, medication is a necessity, or the way that works for them, or for right now. Like,
That's
there's
a great point.
yeah, like the oh natural kind of. But for
Mhm.
some people, that's what they want to do, and not everyone's going to value using just supplements.
And there is an element of the like, oh, it's like you see memes on the internet, like a pill and then like broccoli like in a capsule, like here's your medication or whatever.
Yes, food is
You
not
can't,
medicine. Nope,
and,
nope,
and
nope.
that is so rooted in diet culture. And I came from that kind of diet culture, the super clean eating, the
Hmm.
raw vegan, like all of that stuff, like nature's going to heal you, all these vegetables are going to heal you. And so for me, when I see all of that stuff, it's like, oh, you don't need to take metformin, you just need to take these supplements only, or like, whatever. It's like I feel that in my body. It's like a trauma response to all those years,
Hmm.
the decades of diet culture that, I experienced.
It's like your body's radar of like, oh, we're near it right now.
Yeah, so that's what comes up to me when I see that kind of stuff. I'm just like, oh, and I'm like, you know what? You know what's helped me the most? This medication.
Metformin that is really affordable
Yeah.
and been around for a long time. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing is like figuring out. So for me, I take metformin and ovasitol
Mhm.
and, you know, other supplements. And so that's my terms. That's what's working for me.
Yeah.
And so I think anytime anyone is telling you you should do this, or you know, this is the way you have to do this, like red flag.
Yeah. It's the should. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't should all over me.
Yeah. Stop shooting on yourself. I still
Yeah.
remember the first time I heard that. Oh, anyway, I think we need to move on to the next portion of your show.
Julie's always keeping us on task.
This has never been my role that I've been honored for ever. I've never been good at keeping tasks, but I will take it.
Yes.
But I know we have a question from someone, which
Yeah, I'm gonna read this question, and I think this is a Julie answer.
Okay, I can roll with it.
So the question that we got was, what about excessive sleepiness and sleep apnea? I've heard a recent study was looking into the high prevalence of sleep apnea with people with PCOS. And then in parentheses, it says, even among people of the same BMI, sleep apnea was found to be more common in those with PCOS.
Yes. So I think this was in reference to the episode we had recently. Was it about fatigue, maybe? Or maybe it was sleep. I don't know. But yes, people with PCOS, I've read research that 75% of people with PCOS have some kind of sleep disorder. So it may not be sleep apnea, but some kind of sleep disorder. And yeah, you could be any size and have a sleep disorder for sure. And so then if weight doesn't cause it, how would losing weight cure it is always the question. And, you know, the thing that I have gathered from like talking to people with PCOS is so many people, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like so many people with PCOS that I've met do so much for other people and work hard and are like just doing a lot. It's like the sleep disorder plus doing a lot for other people. Gotta be exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, those two together.
And also, like, many of us were not raised and taught to practice really strong boundaries and self-care. And so doing for others, but also not doing for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that question. And you have hit it on the head, you know, that yeah, people with PCOS definitely have more of a chance to have a sleep disorder. And part of why is probably the endocrine part of PCOS, how it's connected to hormones, and hormones coordinate sleep. So it makes sense. Anything that's related to like a hormone in the body, PCOS can be affecting it. So, you know, that can be sleep, ovulation, vitamin D, so like bone density, you know, our dry eyes. It can be so many things. So
that one gets me every time.
The dry eye.
The dry eyes, like who would have thought?
I know.
When I learned that, it blew my mind.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like another thing. Can't I at least have my eyeballs moistened?
One thing. Oh my god. Okay.
But yeah, if you have a question as you're listening, put them below. Yeah. We love answering the questions. So.
Yeah, type a. Let us know, because we love when we have questions to answer. It makes us very excited.
Yeah, we like talking about PCOS. So like, and then we're gonna comment like, yes.
And it's great because people, you know, ask questions that we don't think to talk about sometimes, which is really so. Yeah. Okay, now I'm the time person.
Thank you.
Time to move on. Here we go. This is the box, the best box in the world, and we're gonna draw. This is what it looks like inside, in case you want to know. Nobody wants to know. It
sounds like you're popping popcorn.
Ooh, popcorn. I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten today. Okay. Ooh, okay. This one is applicable to me. So it's PCOS symptoms, memory loss, and brain fog.
Ooh.
I'm like the poster child.
Oh, why do you consider yourself a poster child?
Because I have had increasingly like really a lot of memory problems and have been experiencing brain fog. So I'm sure I'm not like the worst, but I have both of those.
Well, I would assume that would feel hard because if you have a recollection of what it was like when you didn't have the brain fog and memory stuff going on, like how much it was just easier to hold on to things and recall, that would be frustrating.
Yeah, and it's really interesting like what perspective it's given me for those who have been experiencing that for a long time. And I heard about brain fog, didn't really understand like what does that feel like, you know, and now I'm like, oh, this is what this is what it feels like. And yeah, and it's hard when you didn't have it and then now you have it and so you remember what it's, yeah, exactly what you said.
Well, so someone who has never had brain fog
Mhm.
before and is wondering if they have it, like how would you describe it?
Um, and chime in if you're watching this and you have brain fog. Tell us, because what I have heard also is that it like feels different in different people.
Okay. Okay.
So comment below if you have brain fog. What does it feel like to you? I want to read your description.
Ah, me too.
It feels like you know when you're really sleepy and you're like making yourself stay up, but you really need to go to bed, and so you're just like trying to participate in a conversation, but you're like having a hard time keeping up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it feels like to me. Like I'm just fuzzy and like I'm like confused easily, or oh, I know that I know the answer to this but I cannot think of it right now, or just like oh, I lost track of what somebody was saying to me, like I just kind of glazed over and I'm like,
Yeah.
could you say that again? I stopped paying attention, which feels very rude.
Oh, that would be hard too. Like feeling
Yeah.
like you're not coming across in the way that you're really
Yeah.
presenting.
Yeah, and then it makes me feel, I'm like, oh my gosh, people think that I'm stupid probably because I'm used to like a certain level of articulation
Mm-hmm.
talk, and then I'm like, oh, I can't find the words. And like I know the words to say what I'm trying to say, but I literally cannot think of them right now. And couple that with my progressive hearing loss, and so I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
hear you, and then also I'm confused.
I can't remember what you just said. I lost track of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like forget, and then the memory loss piece is just like I can remember things from years ago, but I can't remember like earlier today or yesterday, or
Okay.
just like things that I used to like easily be able to recall, I can't. So it's not like everything, but I used to have really good memory, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea.
So it's not even consistent. Like I would. That's the thing about it too. It sounds like you got used to a certain level of reliability,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like shifting.
Yeah.
And I've thought about like why does this happen with PCOS? Like I've thought about that a lot. I don't know if you, Laura, or anybody listening is like, well, I don't care about why, but I don't know, but like it's something that I've always like wondered about. And it's not like I've ever come to a place where like, oh, some researchers are like, this is why it happens. But there's so much of like the sleep thing we were just talking about. I think that is part of it. And especially like chronically not getting deep sleep. I would assume that's going to do something to how your brain gets rest. You know, like that's part of why we need sleep is so our brain gets rest every night.
Mm.
And then like the inflammation that happens with PCOS, I've read about how that's connected to like the memory loss, how like the body just kind of like starts to have this rust on it. And so, and it's not able to like smooth it over. And then I'm like, and then
Wait, there's more.
wait, there's more of these knives. That I also think like chronic dieting and the systemic oppression people with PCOS experience, how that also leads to more inflammation too.
Mm.
And also, you know, not eating enough. If you're not eating enough, how are you going to remember anything? Right? So there's not enough glucose going to the brain, which our brain needs glucose going to it every like second. So if we don't have enough carbohydrates going into our brain, which of course, you know, with PCOS, it's hard to metabolize that. And also you're told to not eat it. So,
This is exhausting.
I know, right? So we all need to take a nap.
I need a nap now.
Well, the other thing, there's one more actually I was thinking about too, how this would relate to ADD and ADHD, and just having a different way that your brain is thinking, and like how the world is not set up to be delivered in that way. And there appears to be a higher incidence of people with ADD or ADHD with PCOS.
Mm,
So I don't know. I wonder how that kind of folds into all this.
yeah. Man, as you were talking, I was thinking about like other like chronic illness or I don't know conditions that come along with that bring brain fog also. Like I
Mhm.
can't formulate this sentence. Um, and like thinking about like how many people with PCOS also have like fibromyalgia.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. Chronic
Yeah.
fatigue.
Yeah. It's like the same stuff.
Mhm. I do see a number of people with both.
Hmm.
And there's like this autoimmune inflammation kind of experience that there's just so much we don't know about it.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking, and this only if this is like personally for me. So sorry everyone else who's watching, but I have IBS and I have IBS-D. And so I'm kind of like always a little bit dehydrated even though I drink a lot of stuff. I wonder if dehydration contributes to that. Because I know that when you're like really dehydrated, your like brain doesn't function correctly. So I
Yeah,
wonder.
people say they feel brain fog or they're not able to remember things. Like your brain's thinking of other things. Your brain's thinking about like, I feel like shit right now.
Yeah, your brain is like, how did you survive this?
Yeah, like you're just in the moment, so you're
Yeah,
not going to be thinking about like
so that's interesting.
algebraic equations or
Well,
something.
I'm never thinking about
Me neither.
that.
Anyway, yeah, it's one of the parts of PCOS that I think is just not talked a lot about, especially in like medical circles where I'm learning about PCOS. It's just not something that people talk about or seem to be studying, but it's
And
definitely
this is
a part
like,
of
sorry, I just cut you off, but it just made me think about the fact that like you're like actively trying to learn more about this. And like we know that doctors for the most part are like not actively trying to learn more about this. So thinking about going back to the card, like living with PCOS on your own terms, like our terms kind of have to include continuing education
it.
so
Hmm.
that we can know because like otherwise a normal person with PCOS would never learn about this unless they like were trying to learn about their PCOS. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like just thinking about like what life with PCOS is and what it kind of needs to include. I don't know. I'm having trouble like making the full loop back to my whole point, but this is like a good example right now. I'm like, where was I going with this? But just that like here's some stuff that like we kind of need to be doing. Um, and if we don't, then we're stuck with the information that is given to us, which is
Hmm.
not that useful.
Maybe we could be like the continuing education credentialing board. It'll be free. We're not going to charge money for it. Just like if you need to make sure you get 75 CEUs every cycle, I don't know.
That's a lot. That seems like a high number.
Well, maybe we could. That was every 5 years. That's what it is for dietitians. But so like what I hear you saying is like having PCOS, you may find that like what your knowledge that you have and your experience, it may be important to also just keep learning about it because there's just so much
Yeah,
there. Well, and I also think about how it's a chronic condition, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, or
but
they
it is.
they don't or they don't agree with me and you
There's
about.
no cure for PCOS.
Well, I mean, some people think there is,
Well, that's bullshit.
but bullshit. And
Not true. But I
but
mean, it's literally not true, right?
well, yeah, exactly. It's not true. There's not a cure for PCOS, and it's one of those conditions, just like diabetes. I don't. There's a couple different conditions that like because of the chronic nature of them, they're always going to be getting worse. Like that's just like how as we're allowed to live longer, like they're just going to be more invasive, and so that's why I think about what you said about like continuing education on your PCOS. Like that may be a helpful part of it, just to know like, oh, if I'm starting to feel this dry eye, you know, oh, this could be my PCOS. Let me go bring this to the doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
But also being prepared that the doctor might go, oh, I don't think that's related.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Tell them to check your thyroid. That's what I would say with that one. Anyway. Well, that was an important discussion. I wonder how many people listening can relate to that part, like the memory loss and brain fog. So comment and let us know. Oh, are we ready to wrap up?
I think so. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far.
Yeah.
And please like this video if you liked it. It lets us know that you are enjoying these. Please subscribe to our channel. If you want to be sure and see when we post these new ones, you can come follow us on Instagram. We're at PCOS Body Liberation, and our website is PCOSBodyLiberation.com. Together, we run the PCOS Body Liberation community.
Can we make that in a shorter title? I mean,
so long. Which is an online community for people with PCOS where we give support and resources and connection and community together in a non-diet, non-weight loss focused space. Yes, so I bring yoga and that side of things, and Julie brings all her expertise. And yeah, so if you're interested in any of that, find us on Instagram or the website.
Yeah, and hang out with us.
Yeah. Now we cheers.
Cheers. There we go. Have a great one. Bye.